There is what happened, and then there is what your mind says it means. Most people think suffering comes only from the event. That is false. A lot of suffering comes from the story built on top of the event. Someone has not replied yet. That is the fact. But the mind does not leave the fact alone. It adds rejection, disrespect, humiliation, loss, danger. Now you are no longer dealing with one moment. You are dealing with a whole interpretation. And that interpretation is often what crushes people. Reality gives the first hit. The mind often adds the next 5. That is why 2 people can face the same silence, the same delay, or the same setback, and experience completely different levels of pain. One person sees uncertainty, the other sees abandonment. One person sees a mistake, the other sees proof they are inadequate. One person sees a pause, the other sees a verdict. The event matters, but the meaning attached to it often decides the size of the wound. Think about a founder who sends a proposal and hears nothing for 3 days. What happened? No reply yet. That is all. But the mind says something else. I looked stupid. They do not respect me. The deal is dead. Maybe I never had real value to begin with. Before reality has answered, identity is already under attack. The body reacts to the story as if it were confirmed fact. Sleep gets worse. Tone changes, confidence drops. Attention narrows. By the time the email arrives, the person has already lived through a collapse that did not fully happen. This is how the mind multiplies pain. Not by changing the event, by enlarging its meaning. Take a simpler example. A manager says, "Can we talk tomorrow?" That is the event. But many people do not wait for tomorrow. By tonight, they have already been fired in their head, disgraced in their head, reduced in their head. One sentence becomes a whole private catastrophe. And the worst part is that it feels rational while it is happening, because the mind is not trying to make you peaceful. It is trying to make you prepared. That sounds useful. Sometimes it is, but it comes with a cost. A mind trying to protect you will often choose a painful explanation over an uncertain one, because uncertainty feels unsafe. So the brain fills in the blank. Silence becomes rejection. Distance becomes betrayal. Criticism becomes exposure. Delay becomes danger. Failure becomes identity. That is why people do not just suffer reality. They suffer prediction, projection, replay, interpretation. Then they call that entire process truth. It is not always truth. It is often fear wearing the mask of clarity. A rejected child grows into an adult who reads neutral faces as judgment. A betrayed partner starts hearing disloyalty in normal distance. A loyal employee gets burned once, then enters every meeting as if politics are everywhere. The original wound may be real, but later suffering often comes from the mind forcing the old wound onto new events. And this is where people take the idea too far. They hear this and say, everything is mindset, everything is interpretation, everything is in your head. No, that is lazy. Some things are objectively bad. Manipulation is real, neglect is real, humiliation is real, exploitation is real, abuse is real, betrayal is real. If someone keeps lying to you, the answer is not to breathe deeply until dishonesty feels spiritual. If a workplace is exploiting you, the answer is not to rename your alarm system as overthinking. If a person keeps crossing boundaries, the answer is not to become so detached that you stop protecting yourself. That is not wisdom. That is self-erasure. The mature view is harder. You fight on 2 fronts. First, the event itself. Second, your interpretation of the event. Ignore the first, and you become naive. ignore the second, and you become ruled by fiction. You need both. That is what accuracy looks like. A parent sees one delayed message and instantly feels panic. Not because of the message alone, because the message gets fused with old fears of exclusion, disrespect, and loss. A person gets corrected in public and feels not just embarrassment, but total collapse. Not because of the correction alone, because the mind translates the moment into a verdict on worth. A partner hears, "We need to talk," and suffers for 6 hours before the conversation even starts. Not because of reality, because interpretation got there first. This is the real damage. The mind takes incomplete facts and upgrades them into emotional certainty, and the body pays for stories the evidence has not confirmed. The skill is not positive thinking. The skill is clean seeing. Clean seeing asks simple questions. What are the facts? What am I adding? What has actually happened? What am I predicting? What is proven? What is fear filling in? That pause matters. Because once you separate event from interpretation, you get leverage back. You may still have pain, but now it is pain you can work with. Not pain inflated by fantasy. Not pain stretched by replay. Not pain fused with 10 imagined futures. A disciplined mind does not deny pain. It reduces contamination. It says, yes, this hurts, but what exactly hurts? The fact or the story attached to the fact? That question can stop a spiral before it becomes identity. It can stop uncertainty from becoming humiliation. It can stop anger from becoming paranoia. It can stop one moment from taking over your entire day. And it can also make real danger easier to see. Because when you stop flooding yourself with invented meaning, actual patterns become clearer. You become less dramatic, but more accurate. Less reactive, but not passive. Less fragile, but not numb. That is the difference between denial and control. Denial says nothing is wrong. Control says something may be wrong, but I will not let fear write the report before the evidence arrives. That is real strength. Not suppression, not fake calm, not pretending to be above pain. Real strength is seeing the event clearly and refusing to let your mind turn it into a private mythology of doom. Because a lot of damage in life comes in two parts: the event, then the story. If you can question the story without denying the event, you suffer less stupidly. If you deny the event, you become blind. If you worship the story, you become trapped. The goal is neither paranoia nor denial. It is accuracy. So the next time your mind turns silence into rejection, delay into disrespect, or uncertainty into catastrophe, stop and ask, am I reacting to what happened, or to what my mind is making it mean? Because one of the hardest battles in life is not only against reality, it is against false reality created by fear. What has caused more damage in your life lately? The event itself, or the meaning your mind attached to it afterward?